Welcome to the 7 Minutes to Better Selling podcast. I'm your host, Colin Lake, president and founder of Developing the Next Leader. So, Chris, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Colin. Thank you for having me so much. Really appreciate it. Really honored to be here.
Yes, well, we're honored to have you. So, Chris, you are a wealth advisor who has done amazing things for a large number of individuals, business owners, and so many other people as a wealth advisor. You also have an extraordinarily successful podcast. So my question, which I'm sure is the question of all the people listening right now, is how do you get to like where you were 8 years ago or 10 years ago to where you are today in this wonderful position leading so many?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the questions I love getting asked. I've been doing as a wealth advisor for the last 15 years, and I always like to think that this job, this role actually chose me. And I say that only because, in my younger years, right out of college, I was bad with money. I didn't understand the value of money, didn't balance my checkbook, would overdraft constantly, right? And so it's just ironic in what I do now in helping people manage their wealth. And I think it was that experience early on, and obviously having great parents teach me, the value of why I need to stay on budget, why I need to keep those things in check so that I can have good credit and build up, the future that I wanted. And so I really feel that it shows me in that sense because it really taught me early life lesson as far as how important finances is and to pay attention to it.
Let's say it's 2009. We're like in like the real thick of things.
Yeah.
The recession's getting worse. Market's seeing things happening that it has never seen since the Great Depression.
Mm-hmm.
You're starting this business. How successful were you at connecting with prospective clients and helping them see the value in what you do?
What type of emotions they may be going through right now as their portfolios are going down. And so just trying to make sure that I stay on top of connecting with them, making sure that we're updating their financial plans so that they can continue to feel, safe and secure in all the things that they want to accomplish in the future. So I would say that it's really that is just being patient and taking the time with people and really getting an understanding of where they're coming from. Because as a financial expert, right, I know the things that we should be doing, but for majority of individuals, they don't. They rely on us. So I think we tend to maybe, use our knowledge a little too much sometimes, where we need to bring it back and make things a little bit more relatable for them and make things more understandable for them.
Okay, so maybe just wrapping up the thought, because one of the questions I love to ask is, what do you see as the biggest opportunity for salespeople in today's world? I believe what you're saying is the answer to the question. Be patient, ask questions, care about people. Am I picking up what you're putting down?
Yeah, I mean, essentially that's really what it is. And I think it's also because we live in a world today where we all know this, where information is easily, honestly, at our fingertips, quite literally, right? On our phones, through social media, YouTube, podcasts, everything. There's a lot of information. And I think it's oftentimes very difficult for people to really decide or, figure out what's good information for them that can be applicable in their life. So I think, looking ahead and how to be successful as a salesperson in any, job, I think it comes down to, like you said, patience, but really caring about your clients. And I also want to say is honesty and vulnerability. And what I mean by that is not being afraid to, tell someone if maybe a particular recommendation or investment is not right for them, even though maybe they may think, oh, my friends, and I'm reading on social media that this is a great investment, it's going to hopefully get me a lot of money, but based off of your analysis and conversations from what you gather, I think you have to be able to let them know at some times, that's not something that I would recommend for you. And these are the reasons why.
Boy, it's no wonder like you've had the success you've had. This is me distilling what I've heard. Patience, that isn't really me distilling. You said that. The other word I hear like coming out is integrity. and not just in what you just said there, but overall, like, I'm not going to give you something just because it can make me a lot of money. It's not consistent with, the overall success of your plan. And those two things are really hard to find in the sales world, in particular in the wealth advisor world today.
Yeah, and I think that's what people really want, to be honest, is the honesty. Because again, we have so much going on in the world that I think people yearn for that vulnerability, that honesty out of everyone. I that's why I love connecting with people on an individual level, because once I can make that connection, I can sense that honesty, from them, and that's where the relationship becomes deeper. But if I don't sense that honesty, then I don't feel like it's worth a relationship continuing to pursue.
Okay, so two final thoughts, and both of them are wrap-up thoughts. One is, give us like maybe 30 seconds on your podcast so people can find your podcast, and then tell our listeners where to find you. Like if they're looking for help with wealth, with their, in particular, wealth advisement or wealth management, how would they find you? So first tell us about, a little brief overview on the podcast, and then get us into how to find you, and then we'll wrap up the call.
Sure. Yeah. So my podcast is called Succession, spelled Succetion. And I did that with a purpose, success plus connection. The premise around it is really to have guests and inspiring guests like how you're doing, Colin, and really passing along valuable information to the listeners to really find and have passion around what they do, and have the belief system in themselves to really go find and want more out of life. So that's the goal behind it. So I interview a lot of different business owners, successful individuals sharing their life stories. And then as far as my wealth practice, my firm is called Maven Bridge Capital. We're based out of Orange County, California. And you can find us on mavenbridgecapital.com. We're on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and as well as a podcast. Succession is all on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all the major ones.
And good selling, everyone.